So greetings, everyone. This is Payman Lorenzo, your host. Tonight is going to be a fun time. It's going to be celebration time. As you can see, everybody here is here to party. It's the party for the 100 episode. So I was asking about a week ago, I made a post asking, what do you know was a big, but also as an art equally as big. So I got quite a few awesome recommendation, but quite a few people also in the thread asked, hey, we want you to get interviewed. You know, wow, that's an amazing idea. So, and long story short, I had a lot of amazing feedback from a lot of awesome people. Especially want to thank Meghla and Dan for all the awesome help. Every one of you have volunteered to help, Camille and everyone else. Thank you for helping, and all of you guys for being here. It's going to be fun tonight. Very happy to see some old timer. I haven't heard or talked to Tom since last year. Tom is an amazing person. I had my podcast, one of the first guests, former Olympian, incredibly successful gentleman. So very happy to have you here with us, Tom. And of course, Mr. Midas in the house from cold Australia. Sorry for you, but you're having a tough life, eh? 19 degrees. And also we have the pleasure of having the queen of sourcing from India and the queen of manufacturing, my good friend and dear friend Meghla in the house. So yeah, and one of our partners, Kevin from Australia. They do the India sourcing network and trips. So if anyone is into e-commerce and sourcing from India, these are your guys are manufacturing, especially Meghla. She's extremely connected in the world of e-commerce, manufacturing, and all that. So yeah, and Trish, incredible human being, had her own podcast not long ago. She was actually the one that opened the gates to me, the doors to the community that is the serving circle of Tyson. I reached out to Tyson, unfortunately couldn't make it. He had a class or event tonight, and that opened me an entire new world to all of you guys, to most of you guys. And then Camille, I had an incredible chat with you not long ago, and we have something in common. We have the same birthday. October 18th. Woohoo! So yeah, incredible lady. So I'm super honored. You know, the podcast, you know, you guys know one of my favorite questions to ask is, what's the smallest thing you've done? Has had the biggest impact for both your business and life? For me, it's been without hesitation the podcast. It allowed me, and in ways it allowed me even to save my life, because the podcast has allowed me to keep my sanity over the past year, being stuck at home. If it wasn't for the podcast, I would have probably jumped from the window. There's a train track not far from me. I would have probably jumped in the train, whatever. But a podcast allowed me to have incredible conversation every day with amazing human beings, so many great friendships, so many opportunities, so many doors open that, yeah. So for me, I'm a big fan of podcasting. Podcasting should be a no-brainer for everybody, but I'm going to stop. So that's the intro. So we're going to have six amazing people here asking me a question. Each will have 15 minutes, one topic. And yeah, so the first one, let me just do some house cleaning, just remove some, oops, how do I remove this? Who's good in this? How can I remove this?
Hey, click on your stop video, click on your up arrow next to your stop video.
Yeah, I am there. Oh, none.
Hey,
okay.
Yeah, there you go. Oh, there you are.
Thank you.
Hey. Yay for the party.
Thank you. Oh, the
Your
party's gonna be
beautiful
after. We just need to keep some proper, you know, decorum.
I like the glasses, by the way. So.
Oh, speaking of that, Dan had an amazing thing, as well as Trish. You know what, guys? Screw it. Let's go party style. Let's all have some fun thing. I'm gonna put back the filters so all of us.
Should we all do filters?
Did you want my teddy bear back? Oh, you want my filter on? Okay, we can
absolutely.
do that.
Dan, where's yours? Meghla, Kevin, Camille, all of us. Come on, party.
Oh, wait, I have to look. Hold on.
Yeah, I don't think I have filters. I was looking earlier.
Just look, go next to where your backgrounds are. There's a tab that says filters.
Yeah, I don't have anything there.
Oh,
I don't think it's rolled out to everybody.
You see
where's
the
my
stop
favorite
video
one? Hold on.
bottom left corner of your screen, Meghla? Stop
No,
video.
it's not there.
All right. Okay. I don't know how they make things on planet Singapore, but it's different.
Yeah.
All right. So
I see the
first-
tab video
I
filters,
can't
but
find
nothing
my
there.
favorite one.
All right, let's
Go.
get going. So
Hey,
who's
Dan.
They
gonna
changed these.
Oh, Johann, like that. The hat. All right, so are you guys ready to get going? Anna in the house. Thank you for coming, Anna. Honored to have you. It's like what time is it? 4 o'clock in Eastern Europe right now? Anna, unmute yourself, please. All right,
We do need to keep going, Mr. Payman. We have a bunch of people
all right,
who are time
Here I
sensitive.
am. Sorry.
all right.
It's
Thank you for joining us.
1:30.
Wow. Oh, it's still afternoon for you. Come on, it's still afternoon. Hello, Janine. Welcome on the show here. All right, so let's get going. So Dan, you're the first brother. Mike is yours. Ooh, you're
Oh
on.
man.
I like those.
Well,
Yeah.
I am happy to be here. Congratulations on 100 episodes, especially doing it within a year. I did something similar. I know that fight, and kudos to you for fighting through that as well. And I have the honor of asking you some questions about your childhood. And so we'll start easy, maybe get a little bit harder as we go down the path. In starting, where did you grow up?
Oh, I was born in Afghanistan. I was 5 years old, not 3 years old, when my family left to move to France. Even though I was born in a war-torn country, I was blessed enough not to experience the horrors of war. But regardless, I will never forget where I come from, and that's why this also up to now has played a big part in me wanting to be so heart-centered and being so wanting to help and do for the most vulnerable, especially people that are in war-torn countries. So that's where I grew up. In a nutshell, I can expand, but I'm gonna go like for the short answer.
Yeah, man. So it's a powerful thing to grow up in the middle of a war, and that does lead into the next question, which is you're living in Afghanistan as a kid. What was your very first memory? If you think all the way back, what is the first scene that you can picture yourself in, or the first thing you remember happening?
Honestly, we left when I was 3.5, 4 years old, so I don't remember anything. I do have some vague, images that pop in my mind from time to time, but I can't recall much. I mean, I was 3 years old, 3.5 years old. I can't remember much. But what I remember is that we were it was happy times. I was blessed to be in a family that was full of love. My parents, relatives, really, we grew up in a fun environment. At least as a kid, I was too young to understand what's going on, but I was happy. It was a fun. Not only when back in Afghanistan, but also growing up in France. When I moved to France, I was blessed to have a very happy and fun, upbringing and youth.
So your earliest memory is really that travel out of Afghanistan. What is something that sticks with you that you remember about that journey?
Well, I did expand on that. On that for a good 10 minutes on your podcast.
You did.
We talked for 3 hours, 2.5 hours. So, but to summarize it, we had to leave the country. It was my mother, me, I was 3.5, 4. My brother was 2, and my younger sister was 28 days, because the communists, the Soviets, they were headhunting and chasing all the intellectuals. They were going from house to house, just what the Taliban are doing right now. And any intellectual, they would just line him up, make him disappear, and kill him. So we had to hide during the days, and at night, by foot, cross the country with one of those smugglers to Pakistan. So it took us almost a week hiding during the day and going walking at night in deserts and all that. So that's the very, very high level summary of it.
It's an incredible story, and I'm confident I can speak for all of us when I say we're glad that you are here and that you and your family made it through that crazy experience, man.
Yeah. Thank you.
When you think about your childhood, when all of us think back, we look and we remember good things, we remember tough things. If you were to think about the best thing and the worst thing that you remember about growing up, about anywhere from birth to 18, what's the best thing that you just treasure? What's the hardest thing or the worst thing that you think about?
The best thing for me was, especially the kind of memories I remember the most fondly is that when I was growing up as a young kid and a teenager in France, a very carefree, amazing, time. I loved playing football, soccer, so playing nonstop everywhere. And I did play at a team. We did pretty well. Just I was spending most of my time, and I was good in school. I loved school. I even skipped a class, but I loved school. I had nothing but amazing memories. spending most, you could find me in two places, either on the football page or at the library. I loved reading and I loved playing. So these are the places you could find me. And the worst part was back when in the summer of 94, 95, I was just applying to get into one of those intensive, what in the US you call like a scholarship for athletes to go to a professional team to do both schooling and playing football. During a end of season friendly game, I had toward the end of one game, I had a nasty tackle. One of the guy came with two legs, 2 feet on my left knee, and that broke my left knee, and I couldn't walk for 6 months, and that broke my heart. And yeah, I'm still feeling emotional talking about that. That's the worst memory. That
Yeah, I
broke
can.
my dream of becoming a professional football player.
That's a hard transition, and I'll leave it to others to ask how that transition may have worked. But I'm curious, when you think of the childhood, that's a really powerful good thing and a really powerful bad thing, and they're both related.
Mhm.
We also have things in our childhood that really matter to us when we're young, but then later on we look at it and go, yeah, why did I care so much about that? What is something that mattered to you a huge amount then that you just look back and go, yeah, that doesn't matter?
And I think we can say the same thing about now as adults. We worry about things that even when you look at them like a week later, we say, why did I even bother worrying about that? So that applies to all of us all the time. So that's something that never changes. It's a constant. We just have to find a way to move past that and to just and that's why I don't get phased. I've experienced the lows of the lows and the highest of the highest, and now nothing phases me as long as it doesn't kill me. I'm not going to be affected. So when someone says something or do something, say, so what? Go ahead. I don't care.
So is there something though that you really focused on then that doesn't hold that space? I agree with you. I think recognizing that as an adult, that we often get passionate about things that don't have
Mhm.
this long-term connection,
Yeah.
or that we're just caught in the emotion of, is relevant. I'm curious if you had one of those things that really stuck to you, and if you didn't, that's fine.
In terms of what?
Just something that you were maybe driven for, that you spent months or years obsessing over, that you look back now and you go, yeah, that really didn't matter.
Oh yeah. Like some school presentation and some even for work we had to do some speech that after that it didn't do anything. And I spent 2 years in China. I talked in your podcast. I went there I got a job offer. I couldn't refuse, as a football coach. I did that for 2 years. And after I tried building a business around football, I spent 2 years touring the country, presenting in front of, big time investors, highest level of government, put my heart into that for a year and a half, 2 years, but then nothing came out of it. That I was completely, depressed because of that. But then a month or 2 months later, I said, for what? I had a new opportunity. Just like we say, one door closes, two other opens. So I completely forgot about that. So
Okay.
the point is, don't get too caught up or too, into something.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Gotcha. What is something that you did care a lot about that you still care a lot about? So what's something that mattered a lot to you as a child that you hold dear and it matters a lot to you now?
In terms of what? In terms of what I do, in terms of beliefs, in terms of what?
In anything, take that wherever you would like. Something that really mattered to you. It could be a belief, could be something that you love. Take your pick.
If we're talking about something I love, two things: traveling and helping people. I say traveling is my football, and traveling are my religion, and helping is my DNA. So that's why I'm always, always here and ready to help whoever needs it without even thinking twice.
Got it. And last series of questions for me is related to you thinking about 10-year-old payment.
Mm.
And think of 10-year-old you. What would 10-year-old you think of you today?
I would say, who the hell is that guy? Because I was completely 24/7, eating, breathing, sleeping, football was my life, my goal. Sometimes I would spend days even forgetting about eating or anything. Football was my universe. And now football, yes, it's still important, but things evolve, and also the fact that I've come so far, I was growing up, I was quite shy. I never thought myself to be doing presentational. I mean, Meghla knows that when I was in China and Hong Kong, I was involved in events. I hosted events, helped organize events. So I did some speaking there that allowed me to really overcome my shyness. And then the next step was starting my podcast, because I always was camera shy and self-conscious. I say, okay, you know what? Screw it. Let's do it.
Do you think 10-year-old you would be inspired by or excited by or proud of you? Or do you think that 10-year-old you would be just so disconnected because you're in such a different place that there would just be like stunned silence?
All of the above. And I would add also, what hell happened to you? You're slacking off, bro. Because I was relentless when I was a kid, I was relentless, but now I'm more like a mellow, whatever, more like whatever happens, happens.
So this is mellow. Okay, got it. That's
Might be
I'll
very
keep that
passionate,
for
very,
future
very-
notes.
might be very passionate as a person, and very, intensive. I'm still
Yeah.
mellowed down a lot compared to when I was younger.
I respect that. I've been told that I'm literally 10% as intense as I was about 12 years ago.
Oh, yes.
So yet people still describe me as intense. So I got you. I'm with you.
All
And
right.
when you think of that 10-year-old kid, if you were to go back, standard question in some ways, but if you were to go back, what's one sentence of advice that you would give him?
Follow your heart. Do what you want to do. Don't follow what people are telling you.
Do you think the kid would listen?
Yeah, that's the thing, because whatever you tell to someone, even more so a kid, to do something, they will do the opposite. I was very
Fair enough.
rebellious, but yeah, that what we say. And that's one of the lessons I learned in my podcast, is that follow your heart. That's one of the major lessons I learned, because that's one of the recurring themes and tips I get from most of the 100 amazing people I've talked over the past year.
Well, follow your heart seems like a really good transition into following the path that you have. And so I will gladly turn it over to the next person, who I believe is Johann, one of my good
Hey.
friends.
Thank you, buddy. Lorenzo, thank you. I'm honored to be here and to ask you. I have one question for you, which you can take as much time as you want to elaborate on.
All
So
right.
I believe that this experience that you've had over the last year has forever changed you. You would have had that many breakthrough moments. And we're going to talk about business. Now, until a year ago, you were playing in the little leagues, if we're talking about soccer. Now, armed with the knowledge that you've gained from speaking to these 99 amazing people, because you essentially distilled all of their knowledge, all of their experience down into these beautiful podcasts that you've created for people. What lessons have you learned that has now changed you forever now, which then takes you into your next endeavors, which makes your next experiences so much more amazing? So that's my question for you. Take as much time as you like.
Now thank you, Johan. Awesome question. Now I have so many amazing people to draw from, to learn from. I have my own library, my own whatever library of, what do you call it in ancient Greece? What was it called? When they went to whatever, I forgot the name in English, but whatever, when you go to see the future. So I have all that here. I have an unlimited source of wisdom that I can tap into from amazing, incredible, leaders with a heart, and all walks of life, all different businesses that I can learn. And that's one thing I love about this podcast, learning from people and learning about things I had no idea about areas I had no idea. So for me, it's been the greatest. Starting this podcast has been part of my awakening, especially spiritual awakening. I've had a spiritual awakening since the start of the pandemic. I was never very religious, but I always knew that there was something much bigger. And since this pandemic started, I got this awakening, spiritual awakening, and that allowed me to look at things from a higher level and focus on what really matters, not the material things, but the relationships, the people, our health, our time. And I understood, I made the switch in business from focusing on money to focusing on impact, because when you focus on impact, the money is going to take care of itself. That's something I heard that, I used to hear that a lot, but I thought it was only cheesy lines. But when I saw that in my own life unfolding, that really blew my mind away. And one of the consequences of that was actually me and you, Johann, connecting. Because if I was building a business, just for the sake of making money, or building a podcast just for the sake of making money, I would not have connected with none of you guys here, none of you, because you guys will all get connected because I pursued impact, I pursued building a business with a heart. And for me, the biggest lesson I learned, not a lesson, like an awakening, awareness, acknowledging something for myself that I've been reading for a long time, but never paying attention. I thought, okay, that's just some BS, some cheesy lines or whatever, is that impact is the most important thing. It's about purpose, not about profit. One of the amazing people I have on podcast, their motto is purpose fuels purpose. Purpose fuels profit, something along those lines. Was it you, I believe, Camille, as that lovely tagline?
Tagline.
Purpose fuels
Purpose beyond profit.
Exactly. Thank you. Yes. I'm drawing blank sometimes because, but I knew it was you, someone recent, but yeah, that's exactly it. The biggest lesson, Johann, is that from now on, and I keep telling, anytime I talk to someone, whenever I look into business, I don't, the first thing I look at is not the money aspect, is not the profit. I look at the impact. What is this impact this business having now? Or what is the impact this business will have as a result of me being involved in it? That's the first thing I look at it. If there is enough, if the impact is worth it or big enough, then I will start looking and diving deeper into the rest of the business. But if there's no impact to be had or no impact already in place, then I will not be interested. So that's the biggest lesson that I learned, and I'm going to apply in any business, anything I do from now on. Does that answer your question, Johann?
Awesome, man. Thank you so much. And
Thank
a pleasure once again. Thank you for sharing. I'll pass it on to the next person.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you so much, Lorenzo, first of all, for inviting me. And it's really an honor to be able to ask you these questions. And congratulations on 100 episodes. My gosh, I can't believe how consistent you are. I mean, I run a podcast too, and it's so difficult to be consistent. So congratulations.
Speaking of consistency, there's one lady that is even, completely dwarfs what I do in terms of consistency, is this lady right here, Meghla, webinars and videos and going live. Like for the past 2-3 years, each time I wake up, Meghla is going live. Meghla is going live. I'm getting a notification all the time. I'm wondering, Meghla, when the hell do you sleep? Is this a bot? And I told you that many times because you've been doing that for at least since the summer of 2019 or something like 1998, whatever. But so you deserve a lot of credit for that. You're amazing. The reason that you achieved so much because you're probably one of the most relentless persons I've known, and you're amazing. So you're a big source of inspiration. So in a way, your consistency has rubbed off of me, and thank you for that.
Oh, thank you so much. That's so kind of you. Okay, so let's talk about your time in China. And you mentioned briefly why you moved there, but can you talk about why exactly, tell us this whole story about why you decided to move to China? And was it China or was it specifically Hong Kong?
First, I was working in the oil field in the summer for 2 years in between 2013, 2014. Then in Western Canada with rednecks at -30, I loved it. And then when oil collapsed in the summer of 2014, I still managed to keep my job until, I would say, early 2015. Then I got laid off, and I said, what the hell am I going to do now? I came back home. I got a job working at a finance company in downtown Toronto wearing a tie and suit. I lasted 3 weeks. I couldn't take it. And then I said, what am I going to do? I started talking with a friend of mine who was working in China. He was an English teacher. I said, I don't want to go to China to be an English teacher. I said, okay, just talk to the guy. So he put me in touch with the guy. We're just, chit-chatting. And one thing that I always mention in my podcast is the power of question, asking the right question at the right time. He asked me one question that changed the course of my life. He said, we were talking about football. He said, can you coach football? I said, yes, absolutely. I would love to do that. Football is my passion, my religion. He said, oh, would you be interested in coaching football in China? I said, absolutely. He told me, okay, let me see what I can do for you. I thought he was joking. I just didn't pay attention. And then next thing I knew, 24 hours later, I had a job offer in my inbox. I didn't even look at it. I just signed it. And I just flew to China as a football coach. I stayed in Hangzhou for 2 years. And I loved it, amazing experience. And after the 2 years, I started pursuing a football business, working with professional football clubs from mostly Europe and South America, especially Argentina, to bring them to China to develop their brand and start building academies and merchandising, getting the image rights, organizing football exchange teams, sending summer camp, organizing summer camps for Chinese kids to Argentina, and so on and so forth. So I spent the rest 2 years touring China, to talking to investors to raise the money to make that happen. It was a great experience, but at the end it didn't happen. So so that was my time in China until, at the end of 2018, when things started to get not so good between Canada and China for diplomatic reason. Our good friend Meghla, him, Lucian, he was telling me, what the hell are you doing in China? Come to Hong Kong. So I went to Hong Kong and with them, and I stayed 1 year in Hong Kong. Amazing time. I loved Hong Kong. And yeah, so that's a very high level of things.
Right. And so what is the most memorable moment that you have of, especially living in China? Because China is so different from, I've lived in China for 10 years. I'm sure you have plenty of stories too, but what's the most memorable thing that you have?
I can do an entire season just on you can relate to that. The things that we take for granted that are so easy for us can be an actual adventure in China, like going to the store, ordering something, getting on a cab. So many things. As far as one, it's very hard to say one. I would say the very first night, I just arrived flew from Toronto to Shanghai and then to Hangzhou. I arrived at my hotel, met with one of my future colleagues. None of us speak Chinese. None of us has any SIM card to whatever. So we just went to the first restaurant, of course, in downtown Hangzhou. No English menu. So what we did, I wanted chicken. My friend Italian, he wanted some crab. So I did the good old style school, like pak, the hand gesture. I want chicken to make the waitress understand what I wanted. And my guy was more creative. He just took, I don't know how we managed to make the waitress understand. He wanted a pen and a napkin. So he started drawing a crab on a thing. And for side dishes, of course we couldn't know. I just stood up. I just went around the restaurant. I just started pointing. That's how you do it,
That is so funny. Yeah. Yeah. So was it sort of a culture shock to you when you first arrived in China? Was it, of course, it's very different from Canada, right?
Listen, I lived in 10 countries. I've been blessed. I've lived in 10 countries, 4 continents, speaking many languages. But when I arrived in China, it was like anything else. It was like, arriving not in a different country, but a different planet. You feel completely isolated. You cannot understand it. You feel completely isolated in an ocean of people. You can't read anything. You don't know what's going on. If you go anywhere else, at least you can make up some letters. You can still understand. You can find people that speak English. But in China, good luck. That's not, especially in a small, Hangzhou is not a small town, but by Chinese standards, it's a small town. It's a small town of 15 million people? That's Chinese standards. Oh yeah.
That's 3 times of Singapore.
Oh yeah.
Just one city.
3 times Toronto too.
Yeah. So what was your biggest challenge when you were living there? What was the thing that you found most difficult?
Can you guess?
Language or?
Bingo. Exactly. And I went with the best of intention. One of my goals was to learn Chinese, so Chinese could become my lucky number 7 language. But I gave up pretty fast and I'm good with languages. I speak, the only 2 languages I learned in school were English and French. All the other, 4, I learned them without taking a single class, just by myself, by immersing myself and whatever. With Chinese, I went to China. I wanted to conversate with the Chinese. I want to travel on China, read Chinese history books in Chinese. But after 2 weeks, I said, you know what, that's not worth it, because to learn Chinese, just to give you guys an idea, we're lucky that in the Western world, we have to learn 26, 27 characters of the alphabet. In China, they have to learn, just to function as a normal adult, you need to memorize 10,000 characters. Just that's a basic bare minimum. So from the time you go in kindergarten, each day they make you memorize 20 new characters each day from the time you go to kindergarten. And I've seen from my eyes because I worked at some schools when I was coaching football. It's absolutely insane. So I said, you know what, it's to learn Chinese and speak it, forget about reading or writing. It's like a full-time endeavor. It's like what, 5 to 10 years of full-time. So I said, no, I don't have that time. So I just, whenever I needed, my phone was my best friend, especially the translation apps. And whenever I needed for business, I just hired a translator and that was it.
Right. So what did you discover about yourself when you were there in China, Hong Kong, those 2 or 3 years? I mean, yeah.
Well, Hong Kong is a different story, but China, because Hong Kong, you can function as a normal person because it's basically a Western country. It's a different country, different world. Everybody speaks English. But in China, it's, oh man, you really have to go deep down inside of yourself to become really, resourceful. Like, how are you gonna make your point across when you don't speak their language, they don't speak your language? And also the problem with Chinese, and I haven't noticed in other countries. In other countries, even if you don't speak the language, but if you try to make an effort, they will be patient. They will be happy and patient with you. But in China, even if you pronounce the word perfectly, because you don't have an Asian or Chinese face, they will freeze. They will freeze. They will look at you. Huh? So you have to repeat the same word 5 or 6 times, and finally you have to show them the translation in Chinese and say, and the guy or the woman repeat the same thing to you and say, you just want to headbutt the person because it's so frustrating at times. There's so much your patience can go after maybe 1 day or 2 days, but every day, especially, for example, in the morning, I would, walking from, I love walking. I was staying, the first year I was staying in a very traditional Chinese part of town in Hangzhou. The same people for the first year, they would see me go in and walk every day, and every morning, every time I was passed by, they would look at me as if I was an alien. Just like that. So guys, I come here every day. Why is as if I was just the first day you see me? It's because they don't see, they haven't, some part of China, some people have not been exposed to any foreigners. That's the reality. Especially if you go in the more, you go outside of the most popular touristy areas of any big city.
Right.
And again, Hangzhou is not a small city; it's a big city, Hangzhou.
Exactly. And so apart from China, as you lived in Hong Kong, what are some of the other cities and countries that you've lived in?
So again, I was born in Afghanistan. Then my family, when I was young, when we left Afghanistan, we spent, I believe, 10 months in Pakistan and Islamabad, just to get until we get our paperwork ready for my father to bring us all from in France. So then, of course, in France, the bulk of my life, about 12 years. And after that, after France, Toronto, I spent a summer in Buffalo when we first moved to Canada, Buffalo, New York. And then after that, as soon as I could, I started traveling. The first place I went was Brazil. I went many times there. I almost got married there. My heart is still in Brazil. And then after Brazil, I went to Bangkok, Thailand, the Philippines. What else? Oh, yes, Buenos Aires, Argentina, one of my favorite places in the world. And I'm planning on going there in January, God willing. So Hong Kong, obviously, the Philippines. These are the places I've lived. I'm not including the places I've traveled. So
which is your favorite place of all the places that you've lived in?
In what way?
I don't know. Anyway, the best place where you could, okay, if I told you, Payman, you can go back and live in any country that you've lived in the past, you can go back and live there for free for the next 5 years, or I don't know, 2 years. Which one would you choose?
It's one place I haven't lived, but I visited and I was completely blown away, was Tokyo, Japan. Absolutely mesmerized. But also I really loved Hong Kong. Especially what I loved about Hong Kong was what, Meghla, you lived in Hong Kong, all these incredible events, the high caliber of networking, the international city, the lifestyle. I mean, when you live in Hong Kong, for people who haven't experienced that, maybe it might sound as if I'm bragging, but imagine being able to fly, to spend a weekend for $20, and you'll be on the beaches of Thailand, $30 in the Philippines, $50 in Bali. Traveling is absolutely unreal. For the price of a beer or a pizza, you can be the weekend. We're there every weekend. Okay, what's the plan for this weekend, guys? Manila, Saigon, Vietnam, or Bangkok. Say, well, okay. at first I said, what are you guys talking about? These guys millionaires or what? And then I started, oh, these guys are, well, wow, that's amazing. It's incredible. The lifestyle, the food, I really loved Hong Kong. I miss Brazil. I love Brazil, the culture, the football. But as far as the beauty of a city, I think Buenos Aires is an absolute jewel, is an absolute marvel. Absolutely.
Have you been to Singapore?
Not yet, but I will. And when I go,
What? You have to, yes. Okay, Singapore beats Hong Kong any day. I'm sure that's going to be your new favorite city if you
I
visit
heard it's
here.
very clean, maybe a bit boring, but very clean.
Nah.
Okay.
I'll take you around when you're here.
Thank you. Will do. Yes, absolutely.
Awesome. Okay, so let's come to the languages. Now, how many languages do you speak? Like 5, you said, right?
6. So
6.
French is my first
Okay.
language, and then Farsi, Italian, Spanish, Portuguese, and I do speak a little bit of English as well. So
Yeah, that comes in handy.
Yeah.
So how did you get into all of these languages, and does it come easy to you learning languages? Because I know it's tough. Like I've tried to learn French, Chinese as well, and it's not easy.
it depends. I speak 6 languages. 4 of them are from the same, Latin roots, like French, English, French, Italian, Spanish, and Portuguese. They all have the same Latin root. So the first language I learned was Italian when I was 11, 12, because again, football was my religion, my passion. That was before the internet. The way I was learning it is that we're living in a small town. Every Tuesday evening, my father would go to the only place in town that can find the Italian newspaper was in the train station. So he would get on Tuesdays, he would get the Monday edition. So he was able to get me that. That's how I learned, with reading the newspaper about football, as well as listening to Italian musics. Again, the point is, I learned these languages not because I had to for school or for work, but because I was deeply interested myself. When I was in school in France, I took English as a first foreign language and Spanish as a second language. I had no interest. So when I moved to Canada, I learned 2 languages, English and Quebecois, which is the French we speak here. And once I got into university, I get into the Latin scene, Latin music, Latin dancing. I had a reason to learn Spanish, Portuguese because of the Brazilian football, Brazilian people and all that, and start traveling. So I learned those because I had a deep, genuine interest to learn them, not just because I needed for school or for a job promotion or whatever. And that applies to anything. As long as you have a genuine desire to learn it yourself, you will not need a teacher. That's the point.
Right, that's fascinating. Okay, last 2 questions from me. So first of all, you've traveled to so many different countries, met with so many different people, different backgrounds, different cultures. What do you think is the common thread that you see across the people that you've met in all of these different countries? What do you think is the one thing that is common in some way across all different cultures, all different countries, all different people that you've met?
People are people. Doesn't matter whether you're white, black, green, blue, purple, whatever. People are people. They all have the same desires, the same aspiration. They all want to have opportunities. They want to feel, valued, respected, and to provide for their family. And I've noticed that all around the world. Whether I'm talking with Afghan people, with Arab people, black people, Latinos, Asians. Doesn't matter. Indians, we're all the same people. So at the base, we all have the same red blood, the same goals and dreams, and the soul doesn't have color or doesn't have it's all the same soul. We all have the same thing. Maybe it might sound cheesy, but I truly believe that, because at the end of the day, we're all the same. We're all the same. We all have the same dreams and aspiration all over the world.
That is just so powerful, Payman. I don't think you realize how powerful that is, because, I mean, as humans, we kind of differentiate amongst each other based on skin color and, other things. But when you travel, when you go to all of these countries, you realize that, basically we're all people. Everybody's kind of the same.
Sometimes you don't need to have a common language, someone to communicate, because I've been in many places, many occurrences that I couldn't speak the language, I couldn't communicate, but the vibe, body language, these are universal. If you approach someone with a smile, they're going to welcome you with a smile, and they're going to do their best to help you, to understand you, do whatever they can, whether it's using a calculator. Believe it or not, sometime in Thailand, I communicated with someone with a calculator, not about pride, but just about communicating, with a calculator. So it's absolutely mind-blowing what you can do when you put yourself in a place that, hey, with an open mind, open heart, and go with good intentions.
Right. Okay, last question. So what advice do you have for somebody who wants to travel the world, see the world? I know a lot of people are just itching to get out once COVID ends and, go travel the world. What sort of advice do you have for people who want to visit different countries?
Go with an
Just go.
open mind, go with an open heart. And if I can make one suggestion, don't go to the touristy places, don't go to the resort, try to go outside of those, see how because at least for me, I don't travel to a foreign country to stay at a resort and be with the same people and be in a touristic bubble. I don't like that. At least for me, that's not me. I like to go where the local people are, where the local people eat and sit and whatever. And that's why I love languages, because languages open to you. It might be cheesy, but a different world, So especially I love when I go to Latin America, speaking in Spanish or speaking in Portuguese or whatever. I love that. And they say, wow, how do you speak so good? I say, I don't speak so good. You're being too kind. But people are so warm, so friendly. If you go there with the good intentions and you're warm, people will welcome you. I've been offered, funny story in Brazil. In Brazil is probably the countries with some of the highest disparity of wealth between the haves and the have-nots. See millionaires with people living on the streets, same in the Philippines. But in Brazil, that's where I have the most experience. I was just chilling one day on the beach, and this shirtless guy came, old man came, just sat beside me. He was just having his apple. I thought it was a snack, but apparently that was his only meal of the day. And he said, "You want some?" I said, "No, thank you." We started talking. He said, "Okay, brother, let's have some." Well, again, I didn't know at first. I thought it was just, this is a snack. So I graciously accepted. But then after I realized that this guy is a homeless guy. He's just sharing with me his only meal of the day. I said, wow. When you see that, it touches you on a deep level. But again, people can be extremely nice. But again, when you go to places, just use common sense. Don't bling bling. Don't play the typical tourist with an expensive camera around your neck or the latest iPhone 55 in your hands, because some places, because of the realities, that could be a year of salary for them, and the temptation is too good, and you can't blame them. So just use common sense, be smart.
That's awesome. Well, Payman, thank you so much for the opportunity. It was really nice. I'm looking forward to the next session now. So over to the next person, which is, I think, Deb.
I think someone else let's see who's
I'm
here.
going to jump in for Deb.
Okay. Oh, she's not here.
Hey, Lucia, brother, good to see you. What's going on, brother?
How are you? This is Camille.
No, I know. I just saw. Okay. Anyways, yeah. Sorry. Go ahead, Camille. The floor is yours.
Yeah. So your story has been amazing so far. Thank you for sharing, and congratulations on your 100th episode. So one of the things you said early in your interview was it is in your DNA to help people.
Yes.
So I wanted to ask more about your philanthropic inner drive and what is your devotion to helping other people? Where does that come from? Is there a specific, well, I'll ask more questions. Where does it come from? Let's start with that.
I guess it's been part of my upbringing, my family, my parents always have the same, they always love helping and all that. And I've always seen my parents always being the one to always help others. And I remember from way back in kindergarten in France, they would bring me snacks after school, after work for school. And if there was a kid beside me, I would give it without thinking twice or share it with them. Always from the earliest memories, my parents always tell me that even when I was a kid, I always, if there was some poor kid, we used to have a maid in Afghanistan. I was too young, but I don't remember. But my mother was telling me that I was sharing, even though the maid was living with us, sharing the meals, everything with us. And my father, because my father was an archaeologist, he used to travel all around the world, and I was the first son. I was very spoiled, very spoiled. So he was always bringing me amazing gifts from around the world. And sometimes I would just give my gift to the son or the daughter of the maid without my family, my parents knowing. But I mean, my family wouldn't get upset about with me, but they realized that, hey, that's very nice of you. Why did you do that? Well, because I just want them to play too,
Beautiful.
Yeah.
So is there a specific initiative or something that just makes your heart sing? Everyone has one.
Well, for me, ultimately, I want to help, especially the people in war-torn countries, because even though I originally come from that, but I was blessed that not to experience that myself. I don't recall, seeing people left and right around me dying, or as you see in TV, for example, bombs raining on you. I was blessed enough that I did not experience that myself, but I know what the reality of work can be. So the cause that I'm really passionate is helping street people, the most vulnerable, orphans, and people in war-torn countries. Even though Meghla knows, I was working last year planning to launch a product on a crowdfunding campaign Kickstarter, and for each unit I would have sold, I would have given a pair of eyeglasses to a child in India, because I have a deep connection with India and Indian. I love Indian culture, Indian, cuisine and all that. Always had amazing Indian friends. So, but again, for me, it's helping the poorest of the poor. And my ultimate dream is to be able to help the kids in Afghanistan. But right now it's not possible because there's no safety, there's no logistic. It's impossible to send anything to Afghanistan right now. Because I did talk to people, even relatives back home. Hey, is there any way I can send stuff there? Said you can't. There's no logistic. There's no way to send anything. So that's my ultimate dream, to be able to help the people of Afghanistan, opening schools or whatever I can. But until that is feasible and possible, I want to help anyone else I can. Again, I don't discriminate, because at the soul level doesn't have color or gender or whatever. We're all the same. But for me, especially the people that are in war-torn countries.
Do you believe that the podcast has to do with giving back?
This was the whole point of the whole premise of the podcast, because the podcast, I see it more than a podcast. I see it as a platform to bring in enlightened entrepreneurs who are building impactful business, not just for me and them to have beautiful conversation and spend an amazing time, but most importantly to inspire someone else other than the listening, whether it's business people, other people, to do good with their businesses. Because and I keep telling that with every person I talk to. As I firmly believe, as entrepreneurs, it's our duty and responsibility to do good, not only because doing good is the right thing to do as a human being, but also doing good is good for business. And my ultimate goal is to even if not any single individual can change the world by themselves, no matter how powerful, how wealthy they are, but if each and every single one of us can do a little bit in our own small circle of influence, then we can create a ripple effect around the world. So, and again, one thing that I firmly believe in mathematics, even though I was never good in math, 1 + 1 is 2, but in real life, 1 + 1 is 11. Because especially when your vision is aligned, it explodes exponentially. So 3 people coming together, 1 + 1 + 1 is not 3, but 111. So that's the whole premise of this podcast, to inspire others, to build a movement, to create a movement and build a platform for enlightened entrepreneurs to share their stories and inspire others. And that's my motto: inspiring entrepreneurs to do good. That was the whole premise of this, the whole reason of this.
That's so beautiful. Do you believe that the world is kind of, I see it myself, I say it's like an evolution of a new entrepreneur. Do you see the world going, or entrepreneurs moving into a giving back situation? Like, it's not so much for them to get a paycheck, but for them to find a purpose.
There is a funny thing that you notice in life. For example, let's say you suddenly buy a red Jeep. All of a sudden you start noticing red Jeeps all everywhere. Right. It's the same here. Now I'm seeing everywhere more and more, enlightened entrepreneurs, centered entrepreneurs. I see them everywhere. Before that, I never knew that even existed. Like a year ago, I didn't even know that even existed. So what the hell is that? I thought it was some lunatics, whatever, some cuckoos. But now that I've had this, spiritual awakening, now I see them everywhere. And the more I get into this, I say, wow, this is the most amazing group to be part of.
Yeah, you're attracting it, right? That's the law of attraction.
I see that everywhere now. And I see that more and more, yes, more and more people are awakening. I don't know if it's all the craziness going on in the world that's making people reflect what's really important, what really matters. It's not the job, it's not the money, it's not whatever. It's the relationships, your health, your time, your people. That's what really matters, and more and more people are going. And that's why, to go a little bit on tangent, in the US and Canada, you see this massive, massive waves of people quitting their jobs because of that, because they want to, hey, I don't care about you whatever. They don't want to put up with all the BS that the bosses and the companies put them through. Because now this pandemic, as horrible as it may have been, it has served as a blessing in disguise in some ways, because it awakens so many people, make them understand, hey, I don't need that corporation. I don't need that job. I can create my own ticket. I can learn ways to make money. I can learn how to work from home at the very least. So it's been
absolutely
a blessing in disguise for a lot of people. And as a result of that, more and more people are going towards becoming more, I don't know if they're becoming more enlightened, but they're more exposed to it because they're spending more time online. At least that's from my observation.
Well, they're spending more time online. I'll agree with that. But I think there is this swell of people coming from this heart center,
Oh, yes.
from their soul, looking for something more in life. And I think 2020 did open up that awakening in that world for us.
Yeah, we see it.
You know, to just say, what else is there? What's important to me? I'm stuck in my house. Who's important? What's important? What am I doing?
Yeah, a lot of people are downsizing, you know, selling the houses, the big expensive $1 million
I'm one of them.
mansions. They don't need that. I don't
Yep.
need to pay $5,000 mortgage a month for what? Instead, I can live very comfortably for a fraction of that. And that's one of the reasons I want to live Canada, because after living overseas, Canada is becoming stupidly expensive for no reason. Where I can live like a king I mean, Meghla and those that have spent time in Asia or in South America, or even Eastern Europe, you can understand that. You can have, just for an example, last year I was so bored, I was contemplating getting an Airbnb inside Toronto because we live outside of the city and 50 kilometers outside. I was so bored, I was looking to get an Airbnb, even a shared room and a shared apartment with 5 other people, $1,400. And that's not downtown. Whereas in the same time, you can have your own private villa with a private swimming pool in Bali, in paradise, for like $500 a month. Or you can have an amazing Parisian style, 1920 style, amazing fully furnished apartment in Buenos Aires, Argentina, one of the most amazing cities in the world, for like $250, $300 a month.
We should have had this party there.
Absolutely. If you love wine,
I'm just saying.
if you love work culture, and you love being around incredibly sophisticated, smart, educated people, especially the men that dress, that still wear like 3-piece suits, like as if they were still in 1920s, then Argentina, Buenos Aires is your place.
Oh my gosh, would love to.
I'm going in January. You guys are welcome to join me. Let's have a party in Buenos Aires, a conference.
Episode 200, as Dan is saying.
In my end, with a beautiful bottle of, Argentinian Malbec and not bottle of water.
Amazing. Well, Lorenzo, thank you for your devotion to helping other people. And I am going to hand the mic over to Trish Bishop for the next questions. Thank you.
Ali is amazing too. Great option. Keep that in mind.
Yes, I'm there. Believe me.
Hey,
I am so there.
What's up, Rockstar?
Oh my gosh, I'm so excited for you. This is amazing. I'm so happy for you. I'm so proud of you. Just an amazing accomplishment. So obviously you've been talking to a lot of enlightened entrepreneurs over 100 episodes. So I'm going to be looking into helping us to understand some of the lessons that you've learned through those various conversations. So the first one I have is, what was the most shocking entrepreneurial lesson that you have learned throughout your 100 episodes?
The most shocking. Wow.
That you just went, what?
I can't say if it's shocking, but learning about areas, industries I had no idea about. Like, for example, I talked with an incredible lady. You may know her, Denise Gambodi from, I think maybe I mispronounced her name. I apologize if I do. She's in Vancouver. But muscle toning. I had no idea it existed. There are other things like I'm so blown away each time like, for example, Reiki. I had no idea what Reiki was. I was a complete, almost like a caveman. I had no idea most of the things, but I love that. Especially, for example, I see Suzanne here from Australia. I love what you're doing. Like, you're doing your meditation session early morning on the beach. I didn't even know that. I thought these were the thing that the cuckoo people would do, but now I see that, hey, these are some of the most amazing people doing that. That, hey, there's so many things out there that I still don't know. It was Socrates that said, what was it? The more I learn, the more I realize that I'm ignorant. And that's exactly, I'm coming to the same conclusion right now. I thought I knew I thought I was a big shot, living 10 countries, 4 continents, 6 languages, but man, I'm being humbled on a daily basis.
I love that. That's the 11th rockstar skill, right?
Oh,
Humility.
Absolutely.
Okay. So what is the most vulnerable lesson that you have learned through 100 episodes?
The most vulnerable. And vulnerable in what way?
So if you've talked to 100 heart-based entrepreneurs, right? What is the lesson, if you think about vulnerability and what that means in the course of being an entrepreneur, in that entrepreneurial journey? When you think about what that means for you, how does vulnerability show up for you as an entrepreneur as a result of all of these conversations and all of the lessons that you've learned?
And I can talk not only about other people, I can talk about myself. You know, being an entrepreneur is a feast of famine. Some days you're making money hands over feast, some days you're not making anything. So, you know, and I went through that myself. At one point, I even run out of money. So I won't go into that, but it was a very humbling experience, you know, but, and again, I wouldn't change it. I'm blessed to that because I learned so much from that had me reflect on what really matters and be more humble. That allowed me to be more understanding of others. Just because you were able to have a successful business, it doesn't mean that you're king of the world, because the next day you can be sleeping on the couch and just having $20 in your pocket for an entire week. And now good luck, especially if you're in an expensive city. And that happened to me. So that was a really humbling experience. That was the point I was the most vulnerable, but yet one of the most fulfilling times, because I grew up so much as from a personal aspect. I mean, there's so many people I talk to. I mean, I can talk for hours, but at least I'm sharing this because that's something I personally went through, and that was the most vulnerable. And again, I would, even though it was painful at the time, I would not change it, because it's part of those. I see life as a video game. You need to overcome certain, what do you call it? Certain obstacles, certain bosses to get to the next level. If you don't, you cannot get to where you're supposed to be, you're meant to be. And for me, I had to go through that so I can understand the value of being humble, of just being, you know, open-minded and understanding. You know, we come in this life, especially I had this spiritual awakening. I realized that this life, this planet is like a school. We come here to learn lessons. And for me, the two most important lessons I had to learn, this I'm still learning, is one, being more patient. I used to blow up all of a sudden, and if someone didn't respond to my text in 1 second, I was like, what are you doing? Why are you being so disrespectful? I'm not like that, but almost, you know. And now I'm saying, chill down, bro, chill down, chill down, chill down. Maybe the person is busy, is going through something. Be more compassionate. That's something I had to learn last year with my father being sick and with cancer. So I had to be more compassionate, more patient. So that's something that I had to learn. And I shared that with some of you guys on the podcast. That was one of the most beautiful gifts that my father gave me, was to open my heart, to be more compassionate, more understanding, and more patient. I mean, everything, you know, the power of questions. Question is extremely powerful. Before, when something bad happened to me, I used to be, what did I do? Why me? I'm so cursed. I'm so whatever. But now it's take a step back and say, okay, what is this trying to teach me? What is the lesson to be learned here? When you do that, then you understand, hey, it's a game. Don't get too, and that's one of the reasons I don't get upset. Nothing phases me anyways. And nowadays, losing your job, who cares? I lived on $20 a week. If I can do that in an expensive city, who cares? I can do it. I've been through that. When you go to that, you become almost like invincible in a way, not in a cocky way, but in a reassuring way. Threats do not scare you anymore. Oh, we're going to fire you. We're going to do this. Go ahead. I'll help you, whatever. When you do that, you take away the power from the people. And when you do that, you feel almost like on cloud 9 in a way, you know, because you become aware of your incredible power that we each of us have, that are being laid dormant. We just need to awaken, just like Tony Robbins says, you just have to awaken the giant within you. And it's through these incredible, even though at the time they hurt a lot, but these are the best gifts life can give you, because that's when the magic happens.
Totally agree. Totally agree. So in that, if you look back across, you know, all these episodes and all these amazing people that you've talked to, share with us kind of the funniest lesson that you've learned as a result of those conversations. So some conversation you had with somebody that you were just like, what? That's hysterical, with regards to their entrepreneurial journey. Because I know there has to be one. I know you and I laughed pretty hard. So, but what would be the funniest lesson that you have heard through all of these entrepreneurs' journeys that comes to mind?
It was one of the very first podcast episode I had, and I thought I mean, is a pretty big guy, big name, Oliver Perkovich, the founder of Skatistan. I don't know if you guys know him. Australian guy, back in 2007. He moved to Kabul, Afghanistan, of all places, with nothing in his suitcase, but with 3 skateboards. He's a professional skateboarder. So imagine this, picture this scene, a white dude, Australian dude, skateboarding on the street of Kabul with the Taliban just roaming around and, with all this barbaric, style, whatever. Imagine, picture this white guy just, skateboarding completely in his own bubble, not even concerned about all the dangers and all that. So when he was sharing that with me, I said, wow. And even the Taliban, because at the time the Taliban had closed all the schools. Of course, it was completely forbidden to play any sports. But because they had no idea what skateboarding was, they were like, what the hell is this? They were completely even like, almost like kids. And he was at time, it was just, people, even the Taliban would come, approach him, say, show us, teach us. And he ended up, doing impromptu classes on the middle of the streets of Kabul for kids, boys, girls, adults. Even the Taliban would put their guns on the floor and just, hey, let's skateboard. I said, oh my God, that's amazing. Yeah, this guy's an incredible story. And then he ended up opening schools. He opened multiple schools in Afghanistan. He opened the biggest indoor sport facility in Afghanistan. They spend half the time, doing teaching skateboarding, and half the time, giving basic education like reading, counting, math, and English to kids that have never been to school. So that's a wonderful, very touching story. But when he shared that scene of him in Kabul, skateboarding, completely oblivious of what was going on, that was almost reckless. But because they didn't know it, the people, said, what the hell is that? They just took it, they were good sport. They were just, imagine this, you're skateboarding on the street and a big, hairy, bearded Taliban comes to you, you're gonna be, pissing your pants. Sorry my language, but this guy was, hey, what's that? Can we try? Imagine giving skateboarding lessons to Taliban and they just put their AK-47 on the floor and you just play with them. I was like, oh my God, this is for real? Highly recommend you guys listen to this episode. Absolutely one of the most fascinating episodes I have had so far.
That's cool. I love it. So my last question, and then we'll hand it over to Anna. My last question is going to be around fear, right? Because that's at the root of a lot of the things that on the entrepreneurial journey. So tell us probably the most powerful story that you've heard across all of these 100 episodes around fear. I mean, you've talked about yours, having $20 in your pocket and living off of that in an expensive city, and you do, once you face that fear, you're able to move past it and stand in your power on that. What other stories have you heard that you can share so other entrepreneurs can really understand that this is part of the process? It's just part of the process. What other stories have you heard around fear from these conversations?
So many, and so many ways, like fear of, I've had quite a lot of people that I'm still humbled that they opened their heart to me. They shared some of the most touching experiences of overcoming the most horrible tragedies, cancer, losing both of their parents. One of the ladies I have on my podcast, Kim Wagner from Australia, some of you might know her. Imagine you're 26, recently married, one young child, and pregnant the second. With a matter of a year and a half, you lose both of your parents to cancer, and you're living in the middle of nowhere in a small village. You have no one to help you other than your husband. I mean, see, what did I do to deserve this? What did I do? What crime have I committed? Please. And then and again, the power of question. She asked the question because she said, okay, I'm 26. Both my parents went like this in a horrible way when they were in the mid-50s. Is this my future? I'm not gonna, and she had no one else in her family that had any history of cancer. I said, okay, I'm not gonna let that happen. She didn't play the victim. She said, okay, what can I do to change? She started first was changing the diet of her family. She started eating clean, organic food. At first, she was made fun of by her friends and relatives because, hey, why waste your time cooking? Come with us eating outside. Why don't you buy or order? I said, no, I don't. She had a goal, and she changed not only by changing the diet of her family, she changed the trajectory, the destiny of her family, because now they're very healthy, very successful. And one of the things she said after that was that this was the greatest gift her parents gave to her, to be healthy, to start taking care of themselves. Mm-hmm. Because it's that you have control over everything. It's just a matter of doing what needs to be done. And when you do that, that removes all the fear because you have complete power. When you know that you have complete power, it's not the government or whatever, that everything is in our hands, then the fear completely disappears. That's why I'm not afraid of anything now, especially not of death. I'm not afraid at all because I understand that death is just a transition to the next phase. Just like at night, we retire, we sleep, in the morning, wake up, brand fresh, new day. Same thing with lives. We have multiple, lives and all that. That's something that I started to understand as I've been having my spiritual awakening. So I'm not afraid of dying, but I'm afraid of the stability around us and worried about all the suffering. That really, scares me. But other than that, nothing, scares me. Not even, not having money or anything, because I know I've overcome that once, and it wasn't that bad. So once you go there, you say, as long as you don't die, just like this saying, you're gonna be good. So again, so many examples I can talk about, so many, and I'm really humbled and honored that some of these incredible, complete strangers have opened their heart, shared the most amazing, stories, and they mentioned that they've never shared those in my podcast, but I feel honored. Hey, David, how are you?
I'm awesome. How are you?
Very happy to have you.
Thank you so much. I'm so bummed I've missed the start, but congratulations and so excited to be here for the remainder.
Okay, thank you. So I hope that answers your question, Trish. There's so many stories I can share, but I think if I were to start, we'll be here till next week.
Awesome. Well, so let's hand it over to Anna.
Anna, the stylish lady, bring it on.
Yes, congratulations. And I'm so happy to be a part of this party.
Thank you for being here. What time is it now? It's 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock for you. She's from Eastern Europe. It's the middle of the night there.
Yeah, 2:40.
From beautiful Slovenia, right? Is it Slovenia?
Yes.
Slovakia. Slovenia, okay. Ljubljana, right?
Yes, Ljubljana, exactly.
That's one of the places I want to go as soon as I can go back to Europe.
Awesome. Yeah, we need to have that coffee, right?
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. I know I have a good friend in Slovenia, Ljubljana, that, oh yeah, absolutely. So yeah, so thank you for being here.
Yeah, thank you for having me. And I have some questions for you.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, go figure. What would be the first question you would ask yourself if you were on your podcast?
One thing I love saying is that to my friends, do not ever use my lines on me, But because you're so nice, I will answer your questions. Okay, so what question I want to ask myself? Honestly, I don't know. The first question would be, why are you doing what you're doing?
Makes sense. Because you have a mission, right?
Why are you doing all of this despite not getting paid for it? You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
Just that I see it at a much bigger purpose, much bigger reason that completely overshadows any monetary whatever reward. It's much bigger.
Awesome, awesome. Okay, I will obey, and I will ask you something that you haven't asked your guests before. Okay?
Okay.
So every anniversary needs a behind the scenes, right? Can you share an interesting behind the scenes anecdote?
Oh my God. So many. Wow. Oh, one time, it was one of my very first podcasts. For some reason, what was it? I was still trying to get the hang of Zoom. For some reason, I had forgotten to hit the record button. Whereas the other person, thankfully, the other person started to record, and I was starting to freak out because I had spent we had an amazing conversation for over an hour, and I thought I'd lost it, and I felt so stupid when I messaged the person, hey, did you record that? Say, why? Oh, because for some reason my computer froze. I mean, that was my excuse for saying that, hey, I forgot to record. Yeah. I felt really bad, but I think that was a close call because I would have hated to lose that amazing content. But other than that, I'm a chatty person. I think Dan can attest to that. We've had those marathon, I love talking to people, and usually we talk with my guest at least a good half an hour before going live, and sometimes even another hours with some people, another 2 hours after it. Too bad one of the ladies I had, she just left. Irma. I don't know if anyone here knows Irma. She has an incredible story. She's from California. She's the 11th child in a family. Incredible. Her mother is 106 years old and still kicking and alive. We had so much fun about talking, and we spent, I think that would have been probably the answer to the most fun, the biggest laugh. It was with her. I think it was Camille who asked me that. The funnest experience was with her. We had incredible, like, laughing so hard. We started talking right away because she's Mexican American, talking about tequila and all that. And she said, "Oh, I just have a bottle of tequila right by my side." She said, she showed it to me. And I said, "Guess what? Where I got it from?" So I don't know. Well, my mother gave it to me for my birthday. So, wow, amazing. You have the coolest mom in the world, you know? And the mom came and said hi. That was so fun, so awesome, you know? We had like so much fun. We talked at least an hour and a half before the podcast itself, was an hour and a half. And after the podcast was another an hour and a half. I mean, she just left the podcast, the show just a few minutes ago. I wish you had asked that question. I mean, it's not your fault, but I wish you had asked that 5 minutes ago when she was here. She would have, I mean, she's an incredible lady. So if anyone wants to connect with an incredibly successful but beautiful heart, reach out to Irma Vargas from California. She's incredible and super fun to talk to.
Awesome. From the top of your head, was there a guest that made you speechless?
A few. The first one that made me speechless was actually this person I mentioned earlier, Oliver Perkovich, the Australian guy, skateboarder that went to Afghanistan with 3 skateboards in a suitcase and nothing else, instead skateboarding on the street of Kabul in the middle of the Taliban. That completely left me speechless. Other people, of course, left me speechless because of the incredible amount of, hardship they had to overcome, especially Kim's story of, losing both of her parents in a span of 1 year while she was pregnant of her second child, and the first one was barely a year old in the middle of nowhere. That really was very touching. A lot of other people, shared their incredible challenge they had to overcome, especially when I heard people that had to overcome multiple, heart attacks. I had quite a few of those heart attacks, suicide attempts. You're not the only one, Dan, who has that claim that, because I've had, I don't know if I can say unfortunate, fortunate. I mean, I can say fortunate because they overcame that and now they're amazing success stories. At least 3 gentlemen that overcame multiple, heart attacks. One of them, Meghla is not here. My good friend, what's his name? Steven Selikoff, amazing leader in the e-commerce field. He overcame a heart attack, and he shared something that, a lot of people, most of, especially the men that die as a result of heart attack. It's not the heart attack that kills them, is when they're recovering from the heart attack and realizing what is awaiting them, going back to a job they can't stand, to a boss they can't stand. That's what finished them off. And he said, when I was on my bed recovering, because what was awaiting me was, he's an expert, sought after speaker in manufacturing. He takes a group of students, before, to China to visit the factories and all that. So, and just before, he had this heart attack just before one of his trips. So when he was recovering, he said, "Oh my God, I have a trip with my group in a few days." And because he loved that, he enjoys that. He said, well, that actually helped him in recovering even faster because he had something positive to look up for too. But other people that are not as, especially other men, are not as, I don't know if I can say lucky, but whatever, if they have to go back to a job they hate, a boss they can't stand, or a life they're not really happy with, that is what's going to finish them off, not the heart attack. Because why do you even have to fight? If I were to overcome that, what to fight for? What to go back to a job, a boss I can't stand, a life I can't stand? It's not worth it. And most of them just give up right there and then. So when you hear these stories, you say, wow, you know. And that's what I love. I love connecting with people, and I don't know if it's, and I've been told a lot that people feel comfortable with me. They share with me things that they haven't shared in any podcast. I had an incredible gentleman from Ireland yesterday, super successful. He has businesses over at least between 50 million to 100 million euros, incredibly successful guy. But he shared with me things that he himself said that not many people know outside of his family. And that's something that, I don't know if it's all of what I learned all these years talking to people. I can get those out of people in a natural way. That's something that I'm very proud of that I learned. And I'm not going to say much about that podcast because it's one of the most amazing. It's going to go live next week. So it's going to be one of the most inspiring podcasts to watch and listen, because this gentleman went from nothing. He grew up in a family in Ireland with, what was it, 9 brothers and 6 sisters, and a 3-bedroom house where 80% of the people are unemployed. So, and for him, when I asked him what was, when you grow up, growing up as a kid, what do you want to become growing up? He said, well, I just wanted to have a job. I just wanted to have a job because in my town, 80% of people don't have a job, and just so I can help my family. So I started, because his family at the time, he was living with, what was it, 70 pounds, was it a week or a month? So basically nothing. Imagine raising a family of 15 kids with 70, less than 100 pounds a week. That's not possible. So when he shared that with me, and that, hey, my dream was, my goal was, when teachers asked me, what do you want to become? Said, I don't care, I just want to have a job. That was really touching. And I love having conversations.
Yeah, you really get to know people from a different perspective, I would say.
Thank you.
And on that note, I noticed that you call many of your guests your friends, your good friends, your best friends. And I was wondering, what was the fastest way, the fastest moment you realized that somebody is your soul friend?
Well, I've spoken with, not everybody I've had this connection with. Some people I've still kept in touch, I've been friends. Some people were just, and I'm not afraid to say it, were just opportunistic just to get to be on a podcast. And after you never hear from them, they don't respond to your messages. I've had a couple of those too, but most of them have been nothing short of incredible. I get this incredible connection with most of them. Some of them deeper and stronger, because it's all about the vibe. If you can vibe with someone. But there hasn't been, to answer your question, I could say that I felt this connection with it. Of the 100, I would say at least with a good 50% of them. And it would be too long for me to name them all, but about at least a good 50%.
That's amazing.
Quite a few of those people are right here with us tonight, because those are the people I can vibe the best, and that's why they showed up here.
I think that's more than an open rate for a newsletter,
Yes.
right?
Sorry?
I think that's more than an open rate for a newsletter.
Oh yeah, I don't do the newsletter. I don't. I don't. Someone posted on a Facebook group, Facebook page, whatever, a couple of weeks ago. Do you agree that business is a numbers game? In my past life, I used to agree that, but now, as I've been having my spiritual awakening, I realized that business, yes, numbers matter, but it's more like a business is a relationship game. It's a nurturing the relationship. That's what matters the most. So when you do that, then it's a different thing. It's all about relationship, because people love doing business with people they can connect and relate as a human being. And that's what the podcast has allowed me to get to. And that's what I emphasize on my podcast. The question I asked, sure, as I said, as you guys all experienced, we talked about your business, but we focused most about getting to know you as a person, have a heart-to-heart conversation. That's what I wanted to emphasize, to get to know the people. Oh, absolutely. People matter most, relationship or everything. Absolutely. Right on, Dan, right on.
I think you're doing an amazing job on this one.
Thank you, Anna. You're amazing. You're wonderful. If anyone is looking for an incredibly style specialist, Anna is your expert. She has amazing personality, very helpful, very warm. So reach out to her, even just for a chat. She's incredible.
Thank you so much. Oh my gosh. I'm blushing. Can you see?
Oh, yes, that's okay. Me too. I've been blushing my life.
One last question. I have to ask you this.
All
Can
right.
you think of a question no one had ever asked you before?
I can't think of any.
No?
I can't think of any.
How about your favorite salad dressing?
Yeah, but one question that unfortunately we don't get to ask, and that I wish people were asking, instead of saying, "Hey, how are you?" without even caring, just to do small talk, say, "Hey, are you happy?" Nobody cares whether you're happy or not. Instead of saying, "How are you?" say, "Are you happy?" and really mean it. That would really stop someone on the track and make them really think and reflect. Hey, this guy joking with me, pulling my leg, is really for real. But if you see that the person is for real, that's going to make you reflect, and you can have wonderful conversation right off the bat with that person.
Yeah.
That's one of the
That's
questions I ask first, is what makes you happy? Because, and emphasis on that, because I want to know what makes them happy, what makes them smile, what makes them come alive. Because this life is all about, doing what you love, finding out what makes you, sing at the soul level, vibrate at the soul level.
that's,
Maybe kinda,
you made me speechless.
sometimes you're gonna make me emotional, guys.
Well, that's it for me.
Diana, who's
It's so
next?
beautiful. It's me.
Oh,
Hello.
Queen.
I
So,
want to say yay to 100. Everyone give some love for the 100. Woo! Yes,
so
payment.
you were distracting me, Deb. You were distracting me. I was answering Anna's question. You were dancing, so I'm gonna start calling you the dancing queen. Huh? I wish I had the song where I could put a dancing queen, just for you.
Oh, thank you. I love that song and I love to dance.
All right.
And I first want to ask you, Payman, how is your heart feeling right now?
It's about to come out of my chest right now. That's
What an amazing
my chest is
event.
becoming too small for it. It just wants to. Because of you guys. You guys are making it sing at the soul level, all of you.
So beautiful. What a beautiful session this is. I can't wait to listen back. May I request for this last little wrap up piece that we take the glasses off so we can see your beautiful
Oh,
eyes, because they
yes,
are the window to the soul.
yes, absolutely.
And
Thank you.
your soul just speaks louder than words. And congratulations on what you have achieved so far. I have let's have a look. Beautiful eyes. Yay.
Thank you. I didn't have that, but I still had the glasses on.
I have the joy of discovering, so celebrating all you have done, and that is fantastic. What is in your heart to come through next? What is next for Payman? What are you thinking? What are you feeling? Give us a little bit of a teaser.
So what, in terms of projects, business, in terms of what's next for the podcast, in terms of what?
Well, let's start with the podcast, shall we?
Well, for me, the podcast is, you were not here in the beginning. As I said, for me, the podcast has been an incredible journey. It's been one of the greatest gifts, but also it's been a lifesaver, literally, because in the past year and a half, being stuck at home, we live in a small town outside of the big city. The podcast is what has allowed me to keep my sanity. Without the podcast, I would probably jump from the window or jump on the train track in front of the train, because I would have gone crazy without the podcast. And having these talking for hours and hours from complete strangers initially, but that become so many amazing, beautiful friendships with this amazing, beautiful conversation with incredible heart-centered people. That's what has allowed me to keep going, even though I'm not getting paid for it. I don't care, because it's so beautiful. It's so beautiful. I want to really, podcasting has changed my life, has saved my life in some ways, has blessed me with so many, amazing friendships, incredible opportunities, opened so many doors, that now I want to double down on podcasting, and even, help other heart-centered entrepreneurs really understand and leverage and take advantage of the power of podcasting, because podcasting can help any business. I was listening to a podcast that there was one guy, he was talking about even a funeral home, and I shared that story. Was I believe one of you guys here, that they started a podcast, and the podcast allowed them. It was a funeral home somewhere in the Chicago area that allowed that funeral home to become the number one funeral home in all of the region, because the funeral home offered an option for people that had some of the loved one passed away, instead of just writing a note, to come with the family members and share beautiful stories about that person and keep that as something incredible, indelible, and forgettable. And a lot of people will love that, and so much that other funeral homes started doing the same thing, and all of that. The point I'm sharing this is that podcasting can benefit every people, because we're all dealing with entrepreneurs. We deal with people. If you're dealing with people, every client, every customer is a story worth sharing. Bring your customers, your clients, to share the story, share the journey. Not only is going to bless your business with incredible testimonials without you chasing the person for a testimonial, but also incredible connections, conversations, and that's going to allow your audience to get to know you at a deep level, so that they can see, hey, this person is amazing. Because you guys know it, business is extremely competitive. It's all about differentiation. Now, pretty much every day, everyone and the dog is becoming a coach. So what we can do to set ourselves apart, and one of the best ways is to have a podcast, because the podcast will allow you to become, to elevate yourself from being just another coach to being the leader, the go-to-go, the expert. And that can be an amazing, incredible launching pad for speaking engagements, for writing books, for getting into TVs and whatever. And speaking of books, one of the easiest way to write a book, a 200-page book is 60,000 words. One 30-minute episode is 6,000 words. So once you have 10 30-minute episodes, you have enough material for a book. And speaking of that, now that I have over 100 episodes, it's on my plan. I want to write a book sometime next year on the amazing lessons I learned after speaking with over 100 amazing leaders with a heart. That's coming. That's a scoop for you guys. I'm working on a book, but the point is, every single one of you need to get a podcast. The podcast, it's going to really, not only is going to allow you to have incredible conversation with your clients, with your customers, but also to allow your audience to get to know you. A podcast is like Netflix and audio. They can consume your content anytime they want. And it's going to allow you to connect with your audience to a point that, hey, they will be reaching out to you. You will not have to look for clients. They will come to you. And that's going to elevate you and open so many opportunities for you. So because of that, I'm extremely passionate, and I want to share that vision with other hearts and entrepreneurs so that they can embrace the power of podcasting, because podcasting has changed my life and has literally, in some ways, I told you guys, saved my life and my sanity. So that's where I'm going next. I'm extremely passionate about that. Yeah.
It's so beautiful the way you do it as well, because you do speak for hours with your guests. You really connect. It's very genuine. It's very powerful. I really honor you for that. And it's inspiring to me to actually reconsider doing a podcast. So thank you. So Payman, who would be your dream guest that you would love to connect with and chat on your podcast as you move forward?
You know, if you had asked me that question even this morning, I would have given you a list of high-profile names. But when I look at that, I'm not looking for high-profile people. I'm looking for people with big hearts, because I'm not interested in the financial whatever success. I'm looking at, there's a saying that says, the first thing I look at is not the wallet or other thing. I'm looking at the size of your heart. So I'm looking at people with big hearts. So they don't have to be big names. I'm just blessed to be connecting with incredible, even people that just everyday people, mom and pops, whatever, just doing their own thing, fulfilling their role to support their family, whatever. That for me is a dream guest, because as long as they have a beautiful heart, that's what matters. I'm not chasing after. Sure, it would be nice to have some big names to help, help my channel to grow and all that. But I think that's going to come with time, because again, just like I said earlier, I'm not focused on the money. I'm focused on the impact. When you focus on the impact, the money is going to take care of itself.
Absolutely.
Yes.
And so luckily there are so many beautiful big hearts on the planet. So you will be in the podcasting business for quite some time as you meet them all. if we were to just think of one or two big names of people that you would actually really, just in case any of us could connect you to them, your dream guest that really inspires you, is there anyone that is on the list that is a big name that we might be able to help you connect with?
I just add the two co-founders of B1G1 on my podcast. I had the second, the lady Masami
Paul
Sato,
and
the
Camille are
wife,
amazing.
just 2 nights ago, and I had a husband and other co-founder, Mr. Paul Dunn, in September. So when I heard about them again, I had no idea about them. That's a beautiful thing. I was speechless, blown away. I'm looking to get other like heart-minded people that are changing the world, that are really doing good things. I'm, you are not here, but I mentioned football is my passion, my dream, and there's a lot of beautiful football players and athletes who are doing amazing, amazing, amazing. One of them would be Cristiano Ronaldo. He has an incredible heart. He's giving a lot of money to charities in Palestine and war-torn countries. I know it's a dream, but if I can get this guy on the show, that would be amazing. But there's other athletes, Novak Djokovic. I'm a big sports guy, so for me, athletes are people that I look up to. And of course, there are other people that are doing, as long as a person is doing, because it's all about never forget where you come from. Doesn't matter if you become a millionaire, billionaire, don't forget where you come from. And that's something that I'm very passionate about. And when I see someone that's very successful, but kind of drifted away from and become kind of cocky, I'm not interested in that. But if I see that they still remain humble, approachable, and they still give back to causes, then that's a people. So again, as far as names, athletes, as I said, because I'm a big sports guy, I know I can come up with a list of names, but right off the bat, I can't think of anyone else.
Oh, that's a great list there. It's got our brain ticking. Of you never know who's watching this that might be able to connect you as well. So this is exciting times.
If Cristiano
And,
Novak are watching, absolutely, I would love to have you.
And as you say, the people who don't necessarily, they're not necessarily famous, but they have a big heart and they're doing great things on the planet. They're actually the people that are so great to connect with and shine the light on. So I definitely know quite a few to connect you with, still some more
Yes.
people, because
Thank you.
I think we travel in similar like-hearted tribes. And so there's so many people for you to chat with, which is exciting. Is there anything else you wanted to share with us regarding where to from here, Payman?
Well, where here to from now is just doubling down on the podcast and just trying to live the the second quarter of my life to be, the best way to honor my parents who are both left us is to become the best version of me, so I can have the biggest impact I can have. That's the main focus of my life from now on. Is going to be on impact. So I can impact as many people as I can. That's my goal. Again, I've never been a material guy. I'm always been, a guy that's always big heart, want to help. Sure, I'm not saying I'm gonna live it like a monk. I enjoy the finer things in life. I'm not gonna be, an hypocrite. And I'm not greedy either. I don't need $1 billion. I just need enough to be comfortable so that I can make the impact, have the impact I want to have. That's my goal.
It's so powerful. Impact is so important. I talk about BC, everything that happened BC before COVID needs a refresh, and we're in a new era. And this new era is all about impact, being a leader, opening your heart, sharing your heart, and you are just doing it in the most profound way, Payman. I just salute you, honor you. Everyone here clearly does as well. And congratulations again. It is such a fabulous achievement, and so beautiful that you included all of us in your 100th episode to celebrate this milestone. And what an honor this has been. Thank you so much.
Thank you. I wish I had planned this more better so that I could have I would have loved to have all 100 of you guys on a big call here and arrange that a month in advance, but I didn't have the whatever. I just had this idea, suggested to me, and whatever. Just I think it was amazing. What a lovely way to spend a Thursday night, Friday morning for some of you on the other side of the world. So yeah, absolutely. And I think we need to do that more often, at least once every quarter, like at least until we can have these events in person. I was talking offline with Dan. Hey, maybe we can, with some of us here, we have a great connection. Let's host the conference together. Some of us, come together. and that would be a perfect reason for me that I've never been to Australia. I would always wanted to go to Australia and meet some of my amazing friends that I've met in Australia, like you, like Johann, like all the other amazing people, Suzanne. Go to the US. I haven't been in a long time. You know, all the amazing people in the US. Going back to Europe, I haven't been since we left. So and going back to Asia, Latin America. So even maybe on the moon, Mars, whatever. So you know.
I can't wait to come to Australia and have a dance with me. Or we can meet in Hawaii or somewhere.
Yes. And speaking of amazing places, there's one lady that's been quiet here, but she has one of the most incredibly amazing, inspiring story. Cassie, if you don't know her, get in touch with her. She, in her past life, she used to work in a cruise. She toured the world, and I told her, you need to have a podcast telling us all the stories, especially the juicy ones, or at least write a book about your time, you know, as on a cruise ship. So Cassie, how's it going, my friend?
It's going very well. Thank you. I'm glad I was able to hop on here for a bit. And,
thank you.
But yeah, just but I echo everybody here in the sentiment that you know, this podcast really does go a lot deeper than a lot of the other ones, and it's what makes it such an awesome experience.
Thank you. And one thing that I've been struggling with the podcast is maybe my podcasts are a bit too long, but then I've been trying for the past 6 months to shorten it. And another question I've been asking is, how can I improve it? Quite a few people have suggested maybe you should ask less question. And I've been trying to trim it off a little bit, but then I can't, because I want to really have deep conversations with people. If I were to shorten it, then it's gonna defeat the purpose. You know, it's not gonna be a heart-to-heart conversation, but just like a heart to maybe chin conversation. You know what I mean? So yeah, so thank you.
It's your special sauce. Like you say, actually, you end up talking to your guests way before and way longer. Like, it's actually, you have shortened it, right? The podcast is a shortened version of the conversation.
I think the two longest one I've had was one with Dan, and another one was with what's the name? Oh, Irma Vargas, I just mentioned earlier, and quite a few others. We talked for like an hour and a half before, an hour and a half after, an hour and a half for. Quite a few times we spent entire afternoon, entire evening just talking, because I'm a chatty person. The person is chatty, and it's gonna be wow. And I think me and you as well, Deb. We talked quite a lot, huh?
It was one of the longest conversations I've had in a while.
2 nights, one before the podcast and on the night of the podcast. Oh yeah, I love that. Even with you,
I wonder if Anna knows that she left her Zoom on.
Oh wow.
She checked out. She said she had to go to bed.
It was like 3 a.m. She had to go.
To bed.
She's like, I'm going to bed, but I'll leave my Zoom on.
Yeah. She's a good sport. She's a good sport.
Bye, Anna. We'll watch your house for you.
Ciao, Deb. Ciao. Wow, that's awesome. Listen, guys, I'm honored. I'm humbled. I don't know how to. You guys are the greatest gifts. Honestly, the podcast changed my life, has blessed my life with so many incredible real friends, even though we haven't met yet, but I feel closer to you guys than most of the people I know here in life. So thank you for that, guys. You guys are a true blessing, and I mean it. This doesn't come from my mouth, it comes from my heart.
Thank you, Payman. We appreciate you, my friend.
You're a gift, Payman.
Thank you. Can't wait to 200.
Oh yeah. We'll do that more often, at least once.
Yeah, I'll come to that party too.
Not just for me, let's all of us, once we reach those kind of milestones, let's organize those parties just to spend a beautiful evening, whatever. Beats the just staying on the couch watching TV or whatever, you know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely.
All right.
And
Great to see everyone.
And one thing one quote from Dan that I love is that everyone needs a Dan. And that's so true. Yeah.
That's not from me. Let's be clear.
Everyone needs a Dan.
I don't walk around saying everyone needs a Dan. Just wanted to be really clear.
Well, you know it to be true.
I have clients that are kind enough to have said those things.
Dan, when is your birthday?
February 8th.
All right, I'll see the t-shirt with everyone that needs a Dan. Could be,
one more
that's
thing I
also
wanted
good.
Do a Dan party. Yeah.
Oh my.
And you totally rock. You totally rock. And as it's Payman's Day today, I did want to say one more thing, that I grant you all your wishes to come true from here on with your podcast.
Thank you so much. Thank you, thank you, thank you.
Beautiful.
I think the kitty stole the show, though. Is
yeah,
that
I know, right?
Osiris stole the show? So
Okay, my
Okay.
wand can't compete with a cat. I get it.
I mean,
That's a pretty cool wand. I want a wand.
You have anything?
have a good night, everyone.
See you, everyone.
Thank you.
Bye.
Take care.
Everyone.
Bye-bye.
Camille, Trish,
Bye-bye.
Good night.
Sandra, hi, Payman. Mwah.
Bye-bye. Okay. Bye-bye.